Thank you, Mr. Chair. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about brain chips and mind control technology. 2 weeks ago, Elon Musk's company Neuralink said it successfully installed an implant in a person's brain to allow them to, quote, control a phone or computer just by thinking. It would look something like this. This is a picture from Wired Magazine's article about Neuralink. And so, Dr. Kelly, this is a technology that obviously could do some good. It could help paralyzed people, for instance, regain basic functions, right?
That's correct.
But it turns out Musk isn't the only one researching this particular brain biotech. 2 years ago, scientists at China's Comprehensive National Science Center claimed to have developed, quote, mind-reading artificial intelligence that, quote, measures the loyalty of CCP members by measuring brain waves and facial expressions. This type of technology could allow the CCP to supercharge its surveillance state, right, Dr. Clancy?
Sure.
In fact, in 2021, the PLA's Academy of Military Medical Sciences was added to the Commerce Department's entity list because, quote, it supports Chinese military end uses, including purported brain control weaponry. This is truly frightening stuff. Let me just turn to another topic, and I want to go back to BGI since Dr. Kelly and Chair Gallagher talked about it. As everyone knows, BGI Group is a PRC biotech company that's at the forefront of human genome collection and experimentation. In fact, BGI is in charge of China's National Gene Bank, the largest genomic database in the world, approved and funded by the CCP. And this is a picture from the National Gene Bank in China. And as you can tell, here's a BGI machine that's being utilized there. In 2021, Reuters reported that BGI had a prenatal test called NIFTY. It's called NIFTY. And it took genetic data from 8 million women from over 50 countries. Further, BGI worked with the PLA to single out Tibetan and Uyghur minorities to identify links between their genes and their characteristics. So, Dr. Atul, BGI claims to the world that, quote, none of BGI is in any way controlled by or linked to the Chinese government or the military. But this Reuters article clearly says the opposite. So why don't you tell us, what is actually going on here?
Well, I think we have to assume that every Chinese company is linked to the CCP and possibly to the PLA if they're doing research relevant to the military. I will say that BGI is very smart. And we ought to be the ones with the biggest gene bank in the world, and we ought to be the ones with the biggest genome collection in the world, and we're not, and shame on us. They are out in front of us in many ways. I understand the proclivity to talk about military applications, and obviously those are very important. But what they are doing is outpacing the United States in collecting the world's biggest genome library.
Well, I think
and you have to understand, I'm sorry, one sentence. You have to understand that the larger your genomic library, the more effectively you're going to be able to speak DNA. So that's what they're doing. And the applications to humans are important, but the applications to materials, to food crops, et cetera, are going to be even more important economically and particularly
Well, let me jump in, Dr. Atul, because here's the thing. I agree with you, but BGI, if it developed these tests in conjunction with the PLA, should not be receiving taxpayer funding from us. And that is what and I agree.
Certainly.
I assume you agree with me on that.
I do.
Let me turn to the flip side of this issue, which is that we actually sell biotech equipment into China. One of these companies is called Andy, which was developed at MIT and funded by U.S. government research. Here's the Andy machine. It actually sequences DNA, and it's been sold to Chinese police forces, including this one in Sichuan, which, as you can see on this visual, is the machine here, and it's in the trunk of this vehicle used by the Chinese police here. I think U.S. companies need to stop selling these machines to Chinese police forces that are targeting minorities. In any case, the U.S. government needs to establish and enforce stronger export controls to make sure our biotech equipment isn't aiding CCP authoritarianism. What do you think, Dr. Kelly?
I think it is critical to make sure our technology is not being misused. I do think there is just like we're talking here about what can be sold into our economy, I do think we want to think about winning standards wars and getting our technology to be the basis globally. Like, I think what we did in the internet was great, right? We established open internet standards, we pushed them globally, and ultimately China we would have loved to sell to them, and they blocked us because they didn't like the openness of the standard. We should do that same thing when it comes to these gen banks. We should have the biggest one. It should be pushing our ethics in there. If they don't want to use it, they don't have to use it, right? But if they do, we'd love to have them, but they have to follow our rules. And that's what we did with the web, and I think we could do that again here with DNA.
But we shouldn't allow sales to Chinese military police force.
Absolutely. We should be concerned about any military or police applications that don't match our ethics when it comes to our technology. Absolutely.
Thank you. Mr. Whitman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to thank our witnesses.